Well, Mike Griffith here at Dog Nation, along with Chip Towers and Kirby Smart, just wrapping up some players' availability here as well. Georgia's opening fall football practice press conference, and a long time coming. I guess the big news today, from my take, Zamir White will practice 100% with a knee brace on, but it sounds like he's going to go through all the drills, so you wonder how quickly he could contribute. No update on Demetric Robertson's eligibility. Don't know if or when the NCAA will clear him. We know he can practice. You wrote a story on that last week, but not yet cleared for the season. And Natrez Patrick, very talented linebacker, really need him back. Kirby Smart said he's done everything he's been asked to do, but still sounds kind of murky to me. Those were some of the things I grabbed. D'Angelo Gibbs, shoulder healthy. Some of the highlights of the press conference, if you will. What were some things you noticed today, some important things Georgia fans should take note of?
Well, you touched on all of them, and I'm really intrigued about Zamir White, Zeus as everybody likes to call him, and I'm not completely surprised because if you have been keeping up with him, I mean, at the end of spring practice last year, I mean, he was really moving around and doing everything with a brace on, but I mean, he was diving and running and cutting and all the things you expect a running back to do. And then there was some, some social media posts this summer of him working out in the House of Pain just around the corner from us here, as they call the Pain Indoor Athletic Facility. And you could tell, it's like, wow, he looks like he's in pretty good shape. So I was somewhat, it's newsworthy that he has been cleared to come out there and practice on the field. We'll have to see, what the reality is about contact and how much 11-on-11 he'll be doing, because this is, after all, a very, very valuable commodity. Zamir White as certainly a #1 ranked tailback in the country. And then the other side of it, which is a reality, Georgia has other tailbacks, so you don't need to risk too much. But I think everybody's going to be excited to see what he looks like on the field. You touched on a lot of the other things. I mean, Demetrius Robertson, we knew from my report last week that he was going to be out here. What we'll find out today, A, is what number is he wearing, B, is he able to go right away in the practice drills. Kirby addressed a little bit whether he thought he would get eligible. He said that he didn't expect these other precedents. And as you know, Mike, a lot of the guys, Van Jefferson, the guy at NC State, 2 guys at Florida, all got successful eligibility waivers. Kirby said he didn't think that would have any influence on what their situation was, that they're all separate. But listen, I don't think Demetrius Robertson is here if this hadn't been vetted out to a pretty big degree. Other things, we'll see. We're not going to find out about Natrez Patrick unless we see number 6 trotting on the field in the first game. Then we'll know he's playing in the first game. And if he doesn't play in the first game, then we'll know in the second game when number 6 trots out there that he's going to play. That's just the way Kirby plays it.
Yeah, and they need him out there. I mean, Georgia does have some drop-off there at linebacker. People can say what they want about Monty Rice being ready, but he's not the same guy that was playing that position last year, and there's a leadership void as well. So Patrick's a guy that Georgia needs to get his stuff together. He's been in the doghouse. Look, you can't win championships with guys like that. He's either in or he's out of the boat, and it sounds like so far he's in the boat, but Kirby made it very clear this isn't a done deal. He wasn't ready to just give him a clean bill and say, oh, yeah, he's out there competing. As for Zamir, he compared him to Nick Chubb coming back his junior year. Actually said that Zamir is ahead of where Chubb was. So, I mean, we don't know how big it is. I mean, I know Swift did some good things, but he did it as a reserve, and there's some question about between the tackles. I mean, look, this is this year, and I noticed the Georgia players were all very careful to avoid comparing this year's team to last year's team. There's nothing that says these guys are going to win the SEC again. The pollsters don't believe it. You saw Alabama was the overwhelming pick. 3/4 of the people picked Alabama to win the SEC. Alabama's ranked ahead of Georgia in the polls. So, last year was last year, this year is this year, and I think it's pretty clear that that's been the message from Kirby Smart to his players. As for Kirby, something that struck me, someone new to the beat, is not a lot of discourse between Kirby and the media. He doesn't like follow-up questions, very controlling about what he puts out there. I think he's a little friendlier maybe than Nick Saban, but I don't know that he really gives you that much more information, Chip.
This is what we look forward to having you on the beat this year, Mike. A fresh set of eyes on the whole thing. This is the way Kirby operates. When he has a news conference, Claude Felton is over there with a timer going, and when it gets 1 minute out of the 12 minutes or whatever it is he allows that Kirby allows on his schedule for these things, that's the end of it. There won't be any sidebars or anything after the fact. But that's the way Kirby rolls, and it's been very, very successful, obviously, in a short amount of time, and that's why there's such great expectation.
No, wait a minute. So you're telling me that he couldn't do more and be successful? Because I've covered teams that had open practices that won national championships. Maybe if Georgia had open practices, they would have won the national title last year.
Yeah, you're not. Hey, listen, you get no argument from this guy on that right there. And I would love to see a lot more of it. Now, what will be interesting is tomorrow on Saturday they'll have an open practice. Now, obviously, they're still in the conditioning period, and they won't be able to put any pads on. They'll have helmets on at Sanford Stadium, but that'll be a chance to sit down and watch these guys go through a whole hour and a half, 2-hour practice, and I actually expect that to be very telling from the standpoint of guys like Zamir White, guys like Demetrius Robertson. How are they being handled in practice, and we'll get a little bit of a view of where they're starting at. But another thing, I thought a very strong message from Kirby today, even including the quarterbacks, this is going to be an extremely competitive camp. And I even asked him directly, I mean, do you see a scenario where Jake Fromm, the leader in 15 games last year, could lose his position to Justin Fields based on 4 practices or 4 weeks of practice in the preseason? And he said absolutely. He didn't see it any different than inside linebacker, or he referred to Tyson Campbell could start at cornerback. So we'll see if that turns out to be reality. I think that's an awful lot of experience to make up for Justin Fields in a short amount of time. But the fact of the matter is Georgia only has 2 quarterbacks, and I guarantee you they're going to get them both ready. And these guys we just talked to here made it clear they believe in either one of them based on what they've seen, and there's a lot to be excited about on this 2018 Georgia team.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I don't think there's a question both are going to play, Chip. It's just a matter of how they're going to do it and how many snaps will Justin Fields get. And I know they can have 4 and still be eligible for next year, but I would anticipate more than 4 games. I think you're going to see some sort of 2-quarterback system, albeit it may change from week to week. But when you've got a talent like that, I know Isaac Nada talked about it. I know Ridley talked about it as well. These players are interested in seeing Justin Fields out there. With all due respect to Jake Fromm, they say the right things. He is the leader. He's done everything he's supposed to do. But, boy, from everything we're hearing, Chip, Fields is such a special talent. It's backing up all that hype that you've heard. When you hear the players talk about it after an off-season of work, though, now you know it's the real deal. There's a big difference between hype and spring drills and what's happened during the off-season. This is when the players make their minds up as to who they believe in. As Chip said, very clear they believe in both. So for Chip Towers, I'm Mike Griffith. You can read us at dognation.com. I've got a couple of stories up right now talking about Demetrius Robertson, talking about Natrez Patrick. You might want to check those out. And then some stories yesterday, Chip. A very special Bulldog got moved in Sanford Stadium. I don't want to say who, I don't want to say where, but you're going to want to check it out. And then I point out 3 key things that Georgia had better get done this fall, 3 very delicate and fragile situations for Kirby Smart to manage. So that'll do it from now. Our little Facebook Live presentation. Check us on Dog Nation. Your Twitter handle, Chip, is?
Chip Towers, DN.
Chip Towers, DN. I'm at Mike Griffith 32. Have a good Friday.
See ya.
Whoops. Hit the button, Mike.